2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, we roll. Okay. This is the first time, I'm 75 years old, and this is the first time I've ever been electrified. Now, there's a lot of people think I should have been electrified long before this. I'm not sure that's exactly what they meant. So the instruments are electrified, and I'm electrified. Okay. I'm going to limber up here a little bit. Let Mark do a little recording. Let Steve do a little recording. Are we running? Do a little Gordon Lightfoot tune to get me going here. In the early morning rain, there's $1 in my hand, naked in my heart, and my pockets filled with sand. I'm a long way from home, and I miss my darling. So in the early morning rain, with no place to go, out on runway number 9, big 707 said to go. Stuck here on the ground where the cold winds blow, where the liquor tasted good, and the women all were fast. There she goes, my friend. Oh, she's rolling now at last. Hit her mighty engines roll, see the silver wing on high. She's away in westward bound, high above the clouds she'll fly. But the morning rain don't fall, and the sun always shines. She'll be flying home, I hope, in about 3 hours' time. This old airport's got me down. It ain't worth they go to me. Stuck here on the ground, cold and drunk as I might. Can't jump a jet plane like you can a freight train. So I best be on my way in the early morning rain. So I best be on my way in the early morning rain. So I best be on my way in the early morning rain. This is my best audience down here. They were really watching. I think they're critics. I was in Phoenix, Arizona back in 1964 with the rest of the folk singers, and everybody down there was trying to, write a song that would be a memorable moment in the lives of all the protesters around the country. A couple of those guys went on and became pretty big stars. Waylon Jennings, Linda Ronstadt, Dolan Ellis, John Stewart, and me, but I went on and did other things. But I did write my protest songs. They asked me to tell you the tale of the road, that the songs of a wandering minstrel be still on some vagabond singer with no place to be. Wherever the winds blow, I'm bound to be free. And it's a tough way to live and a quick way to die, and you learn the good lessons of the truth and the lie. I've given up my comfort, but I've met some fine folks. I've heard some good songs and I've told some good jokes. And then maybe someday I'll settle down, find some good folks in some small mountain town. Then again maybe I'll hear the winds cry and be gone in the morning, 'cause my soul belongs to the sky. I guess that I'm just the last of a breed of militants the country don't want or don't need. I sing of the beauty of our people and land. I sing though some people just can't understand. And I sing of the havoc the government's laid to the rights of the people for whom it was made. And I'll sing where they'll listen all over this land till the songs of this vagabond singer are banned. And then maybe someday I'll settle down and find some good folks in some small mountain town. And then again maybe I'll hear the winds cry and be gone in the morning, whilst my soul belongs to the sky. When I was younger, I told you before, sang with Waylon and Dolan back in '64. Now they're both big stars and I'm bumming around some renegade guitar man they can't run to ground. When I'm gone from your soft fire's glow and you hear the winds howl in the distance, you know that the horseman has found me and I rejoice, friend, and released all my songs to be sung all the way. And then maybe someday I'll settle down and find some good folks in some small mountain town. Then again maybe I'll hear the winds cry and be gone in the morning, 'cause my soul belongs to the sky. Thank you. Now that I got your attention. Back about got to tune the things up after hammering on them. Do they sound good? Does that sound all right now? Back about 1980, 1981, the lady I was with at the time and I got tired of living in Grand Junction, Colorado, and sold everything we owned and bought 3 horses and rode out into the backcountry, up over the back of the National Monument, Colorado National Monument, and Pinyon Mesa, down into the Dolores River Canyon. Only one of us knew which end of a horse to feed, and it wasn't me. I did find out one thing, only took me about 2 weeks to know everything I needed to know about horses. They've all got the same first name and the same last name. The first name is damn it, and the last name is son of a bitch. And then you put what you want in the middle, and say it politely. Well, this song was written down at the bottom of the Dolores River Canyon. I believe it was the night right after they almost lost me and 2 horses in the quicksand. And so I wrote this down. You're looking right straight up at the Dolores, at the sky. The sky is about this much because you're looking up canyons that are 500-600 feet on both sides of the river. So I wrote this, and a little later, the song was the words to the song were published in a publication called the Rimrock Report, and which was published by a fellow named Peyote Coyote. His real name was Cooper Schellenbach, but he'd come out from the East Coast and he started a commune up in the Colorado Rockies, and he gave that up after a while. This guy would make Monk look like a Slav, but he had this bunch of hippies in there, and he finally dissolved the commune because they didn't want to work. He couldn't talk them into cutting wood for the winter. So he was living in Nucla, Colorado at the time we rode in there, and we played a little gig at a little bar called the Stope. Now, anybody know what a stope is? A stope is a little room off the side of a mining tunnel where the miners can take a break, and that's called. So this little bar was called the Stope. And we met Peyote Coyote in there, and all he wanted to hear was Bob Dylan songs, and I know a couple. And he drank tequila all night, and then he invited us down to his house to spend the night there. We'd already put the horses in a pasture over by somebody or whatever. And we go in there, and he says, he's got a whole wall full of spices in jars. And he's got his working pot tucked in there, and his relaxing pot and everything else. And he says, do you smoke? And of course, at that time, neither one of us smoked marijuana. And so I said, no, we don't. He looked up at the ceiling, he says, Mother, I've got people in my house that don't smoke. He looked at us and says, she says, hide the silver. But he became a good friend, and he published the words to the Dolores River Canyon, or the Dolores River Sandstone, and they end up there. And this is it. Now we're back down in the Dolores River Canyon. Dolores River Canyon tells a story that the mighty mesas guard with silent glory, and the river takes away all attempts of man to stay. The rolling of the ages along her border, the mighty canyons echo in the twilight, to the timeless coyotes calling to the moonlight. Like men they come and go, with little more to show than what they leave to the restless winds and waters. The Dolores River brought life along her shores, from the proud youths who don't come here anymore, to the trader and the steader, and the rustler and the miner. She washed away all traces that day more. She carried them all away to the Colorado, and the mesas hardly notice as they come and go. It's just another chapter in their silent book of remembrance, history that man will never know. Now modern man, he comes and brings all his great machines and things, searching for the gold that brought the others here before. And the river just keeps flowing, and the mesas stand on, that when he's gone there'll still be hiding more. The Dolores River Canyon hides the gold, and a million years of history untold. She could tell us all of beauty and of wars and love and duty. Silently her secrets does she hold. Mesa's watchmen pass along the river, and Dolores will accept what men will give her, and carry it all away until not a trace of them will stay, saving the soul of the ever-rolling river. Dolores River Sandstone tells a story. Thank you. Thank you. During that trip, we ended up, but the winter hit us before we got out of Colorado. We ended up at a ski lodge down just above the town of Dolores. It was Stoner Ski Lodge, as a matter of fact. Now that takes on a whole new meaning today, but back then it was just the name of the lodge. And it's the home of the oldest T-bar lift in Colorado, as a matter of fact. Well, Janine and Randy Thompson owned the place, and just as soon as we arrived looking for a place to put the horses for the winter, because horses don't like to travel when the snow gets above their belly, you know. And that was the El Nino winter of 1981. And so they had a barn there. We put the horses in there, and then just as soon as they found somebody to run the lodge, Janine and Randy took off for Phoenix for the winter, and left Frida and I taking care of everything that was going on. We had some miners in there and some drillers. They were drilling for natural gas up on the mesas. And we had a lot of people that came in from all over the country to ski and vacation. One of those guys was he owned a car dealership in Florida someplace. And so he tells the story told us a story about how they had this one car, it was a brand new car. A guy brought a brand new car and it had a rattle in it, and they could never find it. Finally, they almost took the whole car apart. And then they finally found this rattle. They took the door panel off the driver's side door, and way down in the bottom, there was a pint bottle of Jim Beam, still sealed. And a note that says, by the time you find this, you're going to need a drink. Well, you know, I got to tell you, I'm a union man. In fact, I designed and still manage the CWA union website in this town. But when a song drops in your lap, you just gotta write it. So here it is. Somebody buy me a car. Another commercial hit. Somebody buy me a car. I've been good and I work so hard. I work for slave wages of $200 a day at a good union job out at Chevrolet. And still I can't buy me no car. I work on the assembly line, and I tighten them screws down just fine. Except during World Series I might miss one or two, but what the hell, it gives you something to do. When your front door falls off in your yard. Well, I don't understand how folks think. Buying them foreign cars that just stink. Why, if you bought American nearly all of your days, we could strike and force them to give us a raise. Then I could buy me a car. Well, I once had a friend who one day bought one of them Jack Toyotas. Yeah, that was 10 years ago back down the line. The damn little car is still running fine. It's downright un-American, a communist plot, a car that still runs without a part being bought. Hell, that ain't no way to make cars. No, no one won't buy me no car. So it looks like I gotta work hard. I'll work all day on that Chevrolet Wonder and drive home at night in my brand new Honda. And I will have me a car. I hear the things you get good, guys. Little ditty for you. Now this is going to take some explanation because it comes in two parts. I'll go back to the beginning. Back when I graduated high school in 1963, during that, yeah, they had high school back then. Yeah. They even taught civics, which they don't teach anymore. But I had a brief encounter with a pretty lady. And that was that summer, right after we graduated. I went one way, and I think she went to Seattle. Well, fast forward up to 2018, and I'm on Facebook doing my Facebook thing. And I get a notice from somebody that asks if I am my first name is William, so, you know, some people that knew me back then called me Bill. And she asked if I was the Bill Stanton that graduated from high school in Riverside in 1963. I said, I sure am. She says, do you remember Jackie? Boy, I'll tell you what. You know, most people from the 60s know that most of our memories come from flashbacks. But by God, I remember Jackie. And I said, oh yeah, I do. And this person came back and said, well, I'm the result of that meeting you had with my mother in 1963. And that turned out to be my daughter, who's sitting right here. This is Heidi. Well, several years later, I was up doing a gig in the backside of Big Bear Lake in Southern California. Little wide spot in the road called Fawn Skin. And this tune had been running around in my head for a long time, but I never had any words for it. But while I was doing that gig, the words came to me, and I wrote it. And it didn't dawn on me until I met Heidi that the words came from my memory of Jackie. So it used to be called Fawn Skin, and now it's called Jackie's Song. Fairest of the fair in the high mountain forest, appeared in awakening green through the pine. Brother of beauty still lingers upon me, calm at me yet again, with a faint smell of jasmine stillborn on the I color her memories in deep forest green, of the high mountain vales no more fair to be seen. Their dark flashing eyes and the hint of high thunder that rumbles back through my mind. She had no choice but to leave me behind. She stood at the edge of the forest and called me. The night wind played her long raven black hair. Fever upon me, I reached out to hold her, wishing her only to stay. With that taunting smile, she drifted away. I'll never know if I really saw her, or was it just moonlight and deep in my tears, some other world beauty just born of my longing for love without love's tender light. Every night I can still see the truth in her eyes. Well, a man is only a collection of moments, all that he's seen and all that he's done. Now that I've seen her, my whole life is empty, yet more full than ever before. And I'd give all my days just to see her once more. I color her memories in deep forest green, of the high mountain vales no more fair to be seen. Their dark flashing eyes and the hint of high thunder that rumbles back through my mind. She had no choice but to leave me behind. I hope you like that, Jackie. I'm going to see Jackie. I'll take a little break here, but I'm going to go see Jackie. She lives up near Tacoma, where Heidi lives, and we've been in touch with email, and so she said that if I don't come up and visit her pretty soon, she's just going to come down here. Actually, what she said is, "Don't make me come down there." Yeah, yes, ma'am. Give me a minute here. I'm going to take a drink of water, and I'll be right back.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Now to pause and refresh. For your convenience, we have an attractive refreshment stand in the lobby with buttered popcorn, golden good and hot from the popper, your favorite candies, wholesome and rich with a flavor treat for every taste, ice cream and other good things to eat, plus delicious Coca-Cola. So bright and bracing with the tang and tingle unmatched by any other beverage. Enjoy ice-cold Coca-Cola at our refreshment stand right now.
Pick up my pick. It's going to deal with the stories and legends of the Old West, and I'll reprise my role as the Old Ranger, except older this time. Okay. Just before, and we got Mark Miller over here, and there's actually two musicians / songwriters in the audience. Mark Miller here and Dave Prince. Mark is going to be at the Alturas Bar downtown tomorrow. If you would want to go hear him, if you get there in daylight, and Dave, where are you? You're not playing anything right now. Okay. Just before I rode out of Grand Junction, Colorado, I wrote a tune. Well, it's about this guy named Harry, and he lives down in the city, but he moved his family out to the suburbs to so he could give his family all the benefits of white privilege accorded to him by the Constitution. So he moves out to the suburbs, and this is a send-up, really, of the suburban lifestyle. I think I wrote this 40 years ago, and it still goes over well most of the time. So that means suburban lifestyle has not changed much in the last 40 years. It's called the Suburban Rag. And don't get your knickers in a twist. It's called satire. Oh, Harry, you got yourself a good job down in town, but you live in the suburbs. Got your house. What? Okay, we'll start this over again. Is that better? Hey, this back in the day, if you wanted to play guitar, you just picked the damn thing up and played it, and you'd pick it up, learn 4 chords, and go to the beach. And this thing right here is a chick magnet. Because you're playing, you learn 4 chords and learn some things, and then the girls gather around, and unfortunately so do their boyfriends. But I knew there was no way I was ever going to be the captain of the football team, so this was how I did it. And Heidi's mother, what did she say before you met me? She said I was the most popular boy in town. It's good. I wish I'd have known that. I wish I'd have known that at the time. Okay, Suburban Rag. Oh, Harry, you got yourself a good job down in town, but you live out in the suburbs, got your house and your ground. You don't like the city cause the schools are no good, and it's not quite your idea of a nice neighborhood, so you spend all your money on that 50-mile trip. Got a Cadillac Seville, because it makes you feel hip. And while you're working, selling glasses to the blind, the wife and the kiddies, they don't pay you no mind. They just do what all good suburbanites do. The wife got the bridge club while the kids got the flu. And they're all as happy as termites in a log. Not a Persian long-haired cat and a German short-haired dog in the suburbs. Everybody's got a brother and they all spend their weekends watching each other. If one mows his grass, the others do the same. Run up on the neighbors is the name of the game. So let's all hear it for the suburban rag. Living any place else has got to be a drag in the suburbs. Recreation is fine. I'll chase your wife and you can chase mine in the suburbs. All the houses cost more than they're worth. That's the price you pay for the best life on earth. You just lay out in your backyard and dream of the pool that you'll put in next month and make the neighbors all drool. And Harry, when you retire to that backyard barbecue, got your sweet little wife bringing martinis to you. That's when the life in the suburbs will really come true. When you retire, Harry, that's what you do. But till then, it's get up and go to work on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You'll have the goddamn house paid for someday. But by then, old Harry, more's the pity, the suburbs will become another part of the city. In the suburbs with your golfing and your tennis and things, and your jogging and your biking and your backyard swings, and the lowlife are ripping off everything you own while your wife sits and shoots the shit on the phone. Well, let's all hear it for the suburban rag. even though you suspect that guy next door is a fag. Why can't those people stay on their side of the tracks? Could have been worse, Harry. You know, he might have been black. Oh, my God, what's it coming to old Harry Swayers? These days, they'll let those people just move in anywhere. And when you look at that, they got a dining table. Just like the one that I bought for Mabel. Where in the hell did they get all that money? I bet if someone checks, they'd find something's funny. But I ought to move the kids to another town, maybe someplace where the neighborhood ain't quite so brown. So Harry packs up and he moves the kids and the dame to another quiet suburb that looks just the same. If you want to know what happened to our suburban rover, all you gotta do is sing the song over. So let's all hear it for the suburban rag. You can live there if you're married, but not if you're stag. And you gotta dress right, or it's see you all in. Gotta have some shirts wrinkly with them little alligators. Oh, you know all the rules, Harry. You're gonna do fine living in the suburb. You just gotta toe the line. And now you know how to sing the suburban rag. Want you to listen to me, Buffy. Now you know how to sing the suburban rag. Yes, you do. It always gets a little bit of a bump. I think you've noticed that I have two guitars up here and I've only played one. Well, they asked me during the last break whether I intended to play the other one or not. No. But you have to prove you're a professional when you got two guitars, see. When you got two guitars, that means you're a pro. Bonnie Raitt's got two guitars, and I've got two guitars. The only difference is she knows how to play the damn things. Oh, all right, damn it. Here. Let me do a little switching around here, and I'll get out the 12 string. The nice part about a 12 string is you only need to know 3 songs. Because by the time you play a song, retune the instrument, play another song and retune the instrument again, play one more song, your night's over, you can go to bed. But some songs cry out for a 12-string guitar. Mark, do we need to adjust the volume on this? I wrote this song. Most of my songs are 40 years old. Oh, you want me to play? Okay. Yeah, it's working. God, I think you're going to turn it way up on this thing. Oh, yeah, there it is. Sound good? Yeah, it's there. Okay, we're good. I wrote this song about 40 years ago, and finally, climate change has prompted the world to catch up with me. She's not old, but she's older than the people that she loves. She's not young, but she's younger than her sisters. She fought wars for the ways that her children like to live, even though they've forgotten how to love her. And I don't believe they love her anymore. And their steel coffin cities scar the shore, and they've dumped their wasted lives into her waters, and I don't believe they love her anymore. You know, she was old when the Cherokee roamed the forests of the East, and she's older than my dear nations. Now they and their sister tribes sit by in broken silence, mute witness to her final degradation. And she cries from the wounds that they've made upon the land. They could hear her if they'd listened in the coal mines, and they could hear her crying echoes in the strip mines if they cared, but they're busy. They got to meet a deadline. And I don't believe they love her anymore. And their steel coffin cities scar the shore. And they've dumped their wasted lives into her water. And I don't believe they love her anymore. Now they've ripped out her heart, and they've melted it to steel, and made bridges that span her raging waters. And they that once flowed clean and pure are choked with what is left of a legacy for future sons and daughters. You know, they've given up their claims on the running of their lives. They don't care who it is that makes decisions. Then they wonder why their government just takes and never gives, and why it's run by crooked politicians. And I don't believe they love her anymore. And their steel coffin cities scar the shore. And they've dumped their wasted lives into her water. And I don't believe they love her anymore. No, I don't believe they love her anymore. No, I don't believe they love her. That's the only 12-string thing you got to do today. Bear with me a minute. I used to have stage crews that did this, but I fired them. They kept loading. You know, tie a yellow ribbon around a stinking oak tree in my headphone. Okay. Now we're going to come back down to it. Is that right? Here comes Mark again. I think we ought to give Mark a hand. He's the one who keeps this thing going. Play something?
Steven, do you need my light so I can turn on the diamond light?
Usually the meal looks pretty good, but you can if you want, sure.
Yeah, I just didn't know.
Mark is going to be at
No, that's
the
fine.
Southwest Bar tomorrow. I think I told you that. Good? We go? All right.
Is it okay?
Hang on, let me start the machine.
All right.
Patience. Do you need a drink?
This production is courtesy of Half Fast Studios.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, without these guys, this thing would have been done on a cell phone. You know what? We found out one thing while we were on horseback and immediately after. We found out that if you ride into a town with a guitar strapped to the back of your pack horse, everybody wants to hear your music. On the other hand, if you travel around in a '64 Ford Ranchero, nobody wants to hear your music. Frida and I found ourselves up in Northern California, and this is back before I quit smoking in 1997. And we found ourselves up in Northern California, and we thought, well, geez, we ain't got any money, but we had enough gas, we thought, to get all the way to Riverside, where my mother lived. And we had one pack of cigarettes, so we did a little math. We figured if we shared one cigarette every 20 miles, we would be able to make it down I-5 to Riverside before we ran out of smokes. Which worked out well because this Ford Ranchero, somebody had put a Toyota radiator in it, and that means every 20 miles we had to stop, let it cool off, and put more water in it. So things happen for a reason. We got down to Riverside, and the first person we met was my mother's then boyfriend. His name was Andy. My sister remembers Andy. Yes. Andy took one look at us and said we were a couple of bums. And he'd gone out. He had gray hair, but he'd gone out at some point and got some, because he used to be a redhead, so he went out and got some red dye, and he put on that gray hair, and of course it came out pink. And all his friends for a while called him San Fernando Red. But he called us a couple of bums, and the very next day I got up and I wrote this tune. I call it Andy's song, but other people call it Dreams and Shiny Pennies. Winter trees along the highway, color of my dreams. This living for my freedom, friends, ain't all that it seems. There's a dollar left between us and the ending of the trail, and no one wants our music, and we might end up in jail. I was 40 years and running from the ghosts of all the hopes that a younger man held sacred till he wound up on the roofs. Round the bends another honky-tonk where they might want to hear my songs. My fame comes from a bottle, and it lasts about as long. Dreams and shiny pennies are the two things I can name that are brilliant for a moment, and they're worth about the same. They all jingle in your pockets like the ghosts of Christmas Day. But with 100 shiny pennies, you can break your dreams away. The edge of another city has just come in sight. No money in our pockets, we got no place to spend the night. And we try us a little tavern, and we ask if we can play. The man says no, but he buys us around. He sends us on our way. But all around the loneliness is heavy in the air. So many folks are living so close, no one seems to care. They all sit in their dark little boxes where no one else can see, and they stare while plastic people play their dreams out on TV. Dreams and shiny pennies are the two things I can name that are brilliant for a moment, and they're worth about the same. They all jingle in your pockets like the ghosts of Christmas Day. But with 100 shiny pennies, you can drink your dreams away. And old Red's been coming in so long that his name is on his chair. They've heard his tale so many times that no one knows he's there. And he sits and he talks of promises and money that he's made. He's got a glass of dreams before him that he would gladly trade. And me, I guess it's time to go and move on down the line. Find another bar to play to fill this hat of mine. It's a tough way to make a living, but I guess it's more than some. And maybe even with this old guitar solo, I'm just another bum. Dreams and shiny pennies are the two things I can name that are brilliant for a moment, and they're worth about the same. And they all jingle in your pockets like the ghosts of Christmas Day. But with 100 shiny pennies, you can drink your dreams away. The 100 shiny pennies, you can drink your dreams away. Are we good? Okay. I got one more for you. I've been singing this song for years, but the older I get, the more it means to me. It's called Years. In my younger years, I thought the world owed me a living. Always taken, never given. I paid my sorrow back in kind. In my younger years, there's some folks who know my name, who I stepped on up the ladder while I chased my fleeting fame. Years go by and disappear like a mist in the morning. First they're there and then they're gone, while I was busy moving on. Like the river, I let my life wash around me, gather memories around me, and I drift on with the tide. Now in my crazy years, I did some things that I won't name. With my wife and my baby gone, I was just running from the pain. In my crazy years, I did some things I can't remember. 77 in the winter, you know I lost all that December. But years go by and disappear like the mist in the morning. First they're there and then they're gone, while I was busy moving on. Like the river, I let my life wash around me, gather memories around me, and I drift on with the tide. Now in my happy years, oh, she's dancing with me. In my happy years, I learned to live with who I am, and I finally quit holding on, drifted like the desert sand. In my happy years, it's fitting that they should come now, down at the end of all my living, here at the end I will allow. The years go by and disappear like the mist in the morning. First they're there and then they're gone. You know I've done some moving on. Like the river, I let my life wash around me, gather memories around me, like my children by my side. Gather memories around me, and I drift on with the tide. Well, thank you, Ernie. That's all I have.
Well, I lied. It turns out that our videographer, Steve Miller, had already shut things down and made his way to the buffet. Can't blame him for that. However, it left us with no video for this last little segment, so I thought it might be a good idea to thank all the folks who ruined their Saturday evening to come out and watch an old hippie folk singer stumble through another show. I apologize if I missed anybody. For now, though, the show continues.
Okay. All right. One more. I want to tell you the story of Buster and Mavis. Buster and Mavis were were friends of my parents while we were growing up in Riverside, California. And then Buster ended up over in Las Vegas when Frida and I were rebuilding our covered wagon. That's another story. And because we wanted to put it on the back of a truck rather than have it pulled by mules. Buster had been an electrician with the state of California. And he'd worked for about 6 months, and then he'd just go off on a bender for about 6 months. He was actually a really smart guy. He came to me when we were down in Riverside one time, and he says, they've got these new answering machines. He says, and with your talent, you should be able to do answering machine messages with them. Because I do a little Jimmy Stewart stuff, and I've got my Nixon down. I am not a crook. And Reagan, well, I don't remember. Well, you better answer the phone, little missy. So anyway, I got a bunch of those. But I thought that was the stupidest thing I ever heard, having somebody else give a message on your phone. Well, of course, it wasn't 2 years after that everybody was doing that, and I missed out on the thing. But I wrote this for Buster. Gertie, go to the grocery store and get me a 6-pack of beer. I've been down for so doggone long that the bottom looks up from here. The bill collector's calling and the wolf's at the door, and I paid all my taxes, but they still want more. Sitting waiting for a job makes my backside sore. And I don't know where we're going from here. Gertie, give me a 6-pack of beer. Well, the prices get higher every day, and I don't know where it's all going to end. Can't buy food with the money we had, and I done tapped out all of my friends. Tried to figure out where it all began. We got to put a stop to it, make a stand. We all went on strike for our higher demands, and we've been striking for almost a year. Gertie, get me a 12-pack of beer. How I wish for the good old days when the unions made them all toe the line, with 200 sick days and off days a year and the rest paying double time. Now the union hall looks like the welfare rolls and all the hands are on the go. Repairs on my new Chevy keep me down in the hole. And I ain't worked in almost a year. Gertie, give me a case of beer. Well, the man in the White House says that things are fine and the country's going to work again. It's got to be right because he should know, and the president, he is our friend. So I think I'll go charge a new color TV and a microwave oven and a washing machine and a video game like you never seen. And we'll pay for it all next year. Gertie, give me a keg of beer. Beer makes me see so clear. Get me a keg of beer. Show me the way to go home. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. Had a little drink about an hour ago and it went right to my head. Wherever I'm alone, over land or sea or foam, you can always hear me sing a song. Show me the way to go home. Be kind to your well-fooded friends, because a duck may be somebody's mother. They sit in the home where it's wet, and it's very, very, very damp. Well, you might think that this is the end. Well, it is.